A figure of Putin's oligarchy, Roman Abramovych, was publicly arose in Russian-Ukrainian negotiations when the billionaire allegedly handed over a letter from President Zelensky to Putin. March 29th, within the walls of the Turkish palace where the Ukrainian-Russian negotiations are taking place, one of the TV cameras captures the Russian billionaire Roman Abramovych. On the same day, foreign journalists spotted him talking to Turkish President Erdogan. At the same time, the oligarch did not have the status of an official member of the delegation, and his role was unclear until recently. Not long ago, the head of the Ukrainian delegation, David Artemia, finally clarified everything.
From the very beginning, he had the role of a back channel, that is, an additional channel of communication, informal, which helps to say complex things in normal human, not diplomatic language, something that they cannot say officially.
The British channel Sky News previously reported that Abramovych allegedly responded to a request from the Ukrainian side, which at the beginning of the invasion was trying to find someone in Russia who would help in finding a peaceful solution. Prior to that, such contacts were allegedly sought in the direction of Russian oligarch, a native of Lviv, Mikhail Frednin, says former State Duma Deputy Ilya Ponomarev.
It did not work. Friedman is such a person, he is very careful. For Roman, there was a critical situation in terms of his money and status, plus issues of citizenship, Britain, investments.
After Britain and the European Union imposed sanctions on Abramovych, seizing yachts, assets, and numerous properties, the next step was up to the United States. However, according to the Wall Street Journal, Volodymyr Zelenskyi asked Joe Biden to wait with this decision, obviously to have at least some opportunity to influence Putin.
He asked not to impose because Zelensky should have a leverage on Abramovych. If you simply impose all sanctions against him, then what is the incentive for him? The promises that it will be lifted. Zelensky must prove that he can keep his promises, including by asking him not to seize his assets.
Abramovich's factor is that Putin personally approved his participation in the negotiations. Although the billionaire has been trying to avoid associations with the Kremlin for decades, they have a long history together.
They fried kebabs together, they are business partners, and business partners unlike Rothenberg and Timchenko, who were just nobody in 2000 but became billionaires. Abramovich was already a billionaire, so he owes Putin nothing, but Putin owes a lot to Abramovich.
In the late 1990s, the young oil tycoon, but already a billionaire, Abramovych, was a young partner of the main oligarch of the time, Boris Berezovsky.
Both Berezovsky and Abramovich played a key role in the appointment of Vladimir Putin as president of the Russian Federation during his election on the part of the Yeltsin family. They were mediators between Putin and all other oligarchs and between the Yeltsin family.
The Russians learned publicly about Abramovych in the early 2000s when he decided to become governor of the remote but full of gold reserves Chukotka Autonomous Okrug, which he had cared for 8 years. It was in Chukotka where Abramovych rode out Putin's purges in the ranks of the oligarchs, which Khodorkovsky, among others, came under. Not only did he not lose his wealth, but he also multiplied it.
The most important deal in his life was made by Roman Abramovych in 2005 when he sold his stake in Seedneft for $13 billion to Gazprom. And if Gazprom paid such money to Abramovich, it means that Putin approved that. I also suspect that some part of these billions is informally listed behind Putin himself.
At the same time, Abramovich prepared a spare airfield for himself. In 2003, the billionaire decided to conquer the UK by buying Chelsea Football Club, followed by villas, supercars, yachts, and planes. This once provoked widespread criticism from the Russians.
We still live very little in a free country, and we are not used to everyone being able to manage money as they please.
After capturing the British bridgehead, Abramovich repeatedly demonstrated his ability to be friends with everyone, including Putin, which only increased his wealth until the Russian invasion. Now, the question is, will he find an approach to the Kremlin head this time?
Abramovich is a man very close to Putin. One can even imagine that he will enter Putin's office and tell him some truth in his eyes. Well, for example, does Vladimir Putin know that troops were defeated near Kiev? Does he know that more than 17,000 died?
So perhaps the calculation of Abramovich's involvement in negotiations with Russia was that he would be able to dare to tell concrete things to the Kremlin ruler, without the diplomatic language of the head of the Russian delegation, Medinsky, and evasive reports of Russian generals. Participation of Roman Abramovych in the negotiations most likely is dictated by his motives to keep his own multi-billion-dollar assets abroad, but this is exactly what can play into the hands of Ukraine. Artem Kulya, Facts of the Week, ICTV, United News of Ukraine.